Yeah, no, Van ain't never gonna disappoint when it come to just talking out of his ass and reminding us who he is. He ain't never going to disappoint. I promise you. And he went on Bill Maher's show, man, and he said some. Whoo, it was like even for Van. Like we know what time it is when it comes to him, but like even for Van Jones, this was abhorrent. This goes beyond shucking and jiving. He straight up dismisses the deaths of Palestinians and blames it on foreign powers. Listen.
But isn't part of that because we had to fold everything into critical race theory, and somehow the Middle East became part of, you know?
I see it differently. And I love this conversation because I think people, those of us who went to college, give a lot more credit to college courses for how the world works than I do. This is not about critical race theory on college campuses. This is about Iran. Iran and Qatar have come up with a disinformation campaign that they are running through TikTok and Instagram that is massive. If you are a young person, you open up your phone and all you see is dead Gaza baby, dead Gaza baby, dead Gaza baby, right. Diddy, dead Gaza baby, dead Gaza baby. Like, that's basically your whole feed. So that's not DEI. That is a geopolitical adversary that is deliberately trying to divide the West against itself.
Bruh. Dead Gaza baby dead. First of all, are the babies dead in Gaza or not, Van? Are these Palestinian babies dead or are they not dead? Because like you didn't say they weren't dead. It's like your problem seems to be that we are seeing it and that we are outraged by what we see. That's what your problem seems to be. I don't need Iran nor Qatar to tell me that babies getting bombed indiscriminately by Israel, women getting killed, innocents getting killed, dogs getting shot, buildings getting destroyed, obliterated, hospitals getting destroyed, obliterated, churches and mosques getting obliterated. I don't need Iran nor Qatar to tell me that those are horrid things to witness and even worse to live. And I don't need for them to tell me to sympathize with that cause. And it's like to put Diddy in there, like, what? But what was worse than that statement and the callous nature in which he said it, like, is the apology. Y'all think his apology? Jesus Christ. He said, yeah, I messed up on this one, and I'm sorry. I was trying to raise awareness about foreign adversaries creating chaos online, which is undermining democracy everywhere. But what I said was easily misunderstood. What? What are that gaslighting again? And the way I said it was flat out insensitive. Babies are dying every day in Gaza. Nobody should dispute that fact or make light of it in any way. To the people living in fear and burying family members every day of all ages, I apologize. What? Bro, did he just hit us with the, I'm sorry that you took it that way? Man, everybody who had a narcissistic girlfriend, boyfriend, whatever, husband, partner, friend, everybody has experienced the, well, I'm sorry you took it that way. Because that's what he just hit us with. He's like, I'm trying to bring attention to foreign government. It's funny because you're on the topic of Israel and you're like, I'm trying to bring attention to how foreign governments are trying to stoke chaos. And it's a problem for democracy. that's super weird because I heard nothing in that segment about the $7,000 that Israel is out here paying influencers. Shit, I wonder how much you got paid for that segment. I heard nothing in that segment about how much money AIPAC invests in the U.S. government and its politicians. In what world is Iran? Do you have any proof of what you're claiming? Iran is somehow paying to get Palestinian babies shown on TikTok? How does that work exactly? How does that work? And do you have any proof of that? Because what we actually do know is that Bibi did call Elon Musk to Israel, right? He did make him sit down with him, converse with him, put on a tiny hat. And Elon came back to the US talking about all the ways he would engage in censorship that was deemed inconvenient to Israel, even suspending people who wrote out statements like "from the river to the sea," even though that's part of Bibi's party's, like that is part of their platform. People don't even know that. That whole "from the river to the sea" thing is like, the reason that Palestinians say that is because Israel talks about conquering from the river to the sea. And that's why Palestinians say from the river to the sea, Palestine will be free. Like, and Elon like, nah, we about to ban anyone who is pro-Palestine and makes that statement. They began censoring people in the algorithm. Like, that happened. If you are concerned about foreign influence, whenever they can call, at the time, the richest man in the world, bring his ass over there, tell him exactly what he is, should and should not be allowed to say, and should not allow other people to say on his social media platform. That was your time to be concerned, man. Not when people are rightfully upset about dying Palestinian babies. And ironically, the people who paid Elon and told him to shut up are the same ones killing those Palestinian babies. Then, wants to talk about misinformation. Guys, Qatar is funded by the United States. People look at Al Jazeera, get the issue of Palestine right? Which is like, they get the majority of criticisms of Israel, right, which is easy to do, and Palestine, right. That's damn near a limit. If you actually pay attention to Al Jazeera, there's almost actually the limit of what they get right. Because, for example, when it comes to Assad, they were horrid. Why? Because the United States funds Qatar. Qatar, the largest military installation in the region is in Qatar. The U.S.'s largest military installation. People don't know that. Whenever you get, if anybody's been in the military, if I have anybody in chat, they'll let you know. You get deployed to the Middle East, where you usually go first to go to the next country that you'll be deployed to. You usually end up in Qatar first, and then you go to wherever you're going. Did we not just witness somehow Israel tried to assassinate Hamas leaders in the middle of a ceasefire talk that was supposed to happen because Qatar could not manage to intercept the missile that was launched from Israel, but they could intercept missiles that were launched from Iran, and they really have never given an explanation as to why. And they just sat back and let it happen as Israel violated their sovereignty. Why? Because they work for Israel. Duh. If you look at like Al Jazeera, for example, once again, look up articles that had anything to do with Assad. And we know Israel, Qatar basically funds completely Al Jazeera. And they get it completely wrong. They got it wrong on Assad all the time, consistently, regularly. Even on Lebanon and Hezbollah. They get it wrong frequently and often on leaders that the United States and Israel does not like. Even Saudi Arabia gets it right on Israel sometimes, but we know where their wills actually lie, right? Like we're not stupid. So this idea that Qatar is funding some radical leftist movement in the US is freaking ridiculous. They're doing whatever's in the best interest of the United States and Israel all the time. Because their economy literally relies on it. Otherwise, it would have been instant smoke with Israel whenever Israel violated their sovereignty by trying to assassinate Hamas leaders while they were trying to be Switzerland. Once again, I don't believe that was like, oh man, like, damn, they caught us off guard. If anything, they helped them plan the shit. That is more likely. But what's even more interesting is the fact that Qatar is always associated with leftist movements, always associated with with Iran. They always say like they're trying to help out the countries that the U.S. doesn't like and Israel doesn't like. Are y'all aware of like of Qatargate? Are y'all aware of that? The so-called Qatargate affair centers on Israeli police and the Shin Bet investigations into payments from Qatar aimed at improving Qatar's image in Israel and influencing policy, allegedly funneling through companies and received by senior Netanyahu advisors. Reports from Israeli media have documented that Qatar funds, approximately 10 million, were paid to firms and individuals closely associated with Netanyahu, including Jonathan Urich and Eli Feldstein, both of whom had roles closely tied to Netanyahu's political communications and campaigns. There have also been references to leaked documents reporting to show plans for much larger direct transfers, up to $50 million, ostensibly for the Likud party to be delivered directly to Netanyahu, but these have been denied forcefully by the Likud spokesperson, and no conclusive proof has emerged publicly to verify those specific claims. Likud party and Netanyahu said it was a witch hunt, but they couldn't really disprove anything. And as you all know, he has a bunch of hearings, a bunch of corruption he participated in. So if we're really that concerned about, foreign funding, I mean, if you're that concerned about it, if you think Qatar is out here just altruistically funding pro-Palestine movements and they're not on the side of the U.S., they're not on the side of Israel, they're not on the side of the empire, you have lost your goddamn mind. You don't let another country bomb a ceasefire talk, like literally just whoop, boop. And then, like you're in your country where you've proven to be able to intercept missiles in the very recent past. And I'm supposed to believe that you're also simultaneously out here doing the right thing, funding an algorithm to tell the truth about Palestine. Come on. No, not really. Since Van is so concerned about like what foreign governments and the ability to contribute financially to misinformation can do and how problematic it is. Let's talk about it. Look about like 40 beheaded babies, for example, like, right? Since we're talking about how important it is to observe stories within the context of foreign governments funding a government. How many times have we heard that 40 beheaded babies story? Why was that? Because of Hasbro bots and the like, and because Elon Musk didn't want to silence the people who were deliberately lying about the 40 beheaded baby story, even after it got debunked multiple times. He didn't want to silence them, but he wanted to silence people for saying from the river to the sea. Do y'all know how much of the carnage after October 7th was justified because of that specific lie? And that specific lie was allowed to percolate through the internet and on the news, through mainstream media and other media sources. And it damn near went unchallenged until independent media began to do so. And then like Political Fact or PolitiFact and others finally had to be like, oh man, like, yeah, there's not really any proof. Where did I get this from again? Oh, IDF soldier said it. Okay, but like, is there proof of it? Well, no, not really. So it's not true. Do you have any forensic evidence? No, not really. Oh, what about the 1,200 people killed on October 7th? Because like, once again, we want to talk about foreign influence, foreign financial influence causing people to lie about the truth and how disruptive it is for democracy and discourse. 1,200 people killed by Hamas, supposedly, right? But it wasn't really 1,200 people killed by Hamas, right? A lot of those people were killed by who? By Israel. There are plenty of people that talked about Israeli friendly fire, calling Israeli civilian deaths. Anadolu Agency, November 2023, reports confirm that Israeli military helicopters opened fire at Palestinian gunmen during a Nova Music Festival on October 7th, but also ended up wounding and possibly killing Israeli civilians at the festival. The incident was corroborated by Israeli police investigations and echoed Israeli newspapers such as Haaretz, which stated that Apache helicopter pilots had difficulty distinguishing gunmen from civilians and used artillery against crowds. Reuters, 2024, an Israeli inquiry found that at least one hostage taken on October 7th was likely killed by the fire from Israeli helicopters, suggesting friendly fire was responsible for some deaths during the chaos. Al Jazeera, 2025, a report on the official Israeli investigation into the military affairs of October 7th acknowledged that some Israelis had been killed by friendly fire, though the report did not go into further detail. Electric Antifada in 2024, Israeli military officials admitted to an immense and complex quantity of what they termed friendly fire incidents on October 7th. The article references Israeli police sources and leaked internal military documents. Enet and Wikipedia, same thing, immense complex quantity of friendly fire. Sky News even. Several mainstream media outlets have referenced Israeli internal probes and official military statements confirming that friendly fire occurred in the chaos and Israeli weaponry was a factor in a number of civilian and hostage deaths during the attack. I mean, if we're going to talk about it, let's tell the whole story, man, because I agree with you guys. Foreign influence and foreign money and foreign finance can be very problematic when you're trying to get the truth out. And when we were trying to tell the truth about October 7th and all the events that happened after, people like yourself, clearly taking money from fucking Zionists, lied again, gaslighted, lied some more, and then you get on TV and joke about the deaths of Palestinian babies just a couple of days before the anniversary of October 7th. And then tell people that you're sorry that we took it that way. If misinformation is really why don't you tell the truth about the actual misinformation regarding the genocide Israel has committed, the fact that it's Israel and their shills who are perpetuating that misinformation about how much money they spend to ensure that misinformation gets spread. Instead of trying to, like, you're doing the work for Israel, trying to start World War III with Iran, doing the work for Trump, because 2 days from now, you're going to be fucking complaining when Trump is going to war on behalf of it, because it looks like, goddamn it, that Bibi Netanyahu is gearing up to try to start another war with Iran. And he looked like he's trying to get consent for it. And this Charlie Kirk situation was a little bit inconvenient for him, basically. So now he's sitting down with Ben Shapiro and doing other interviews, trying to convince us how dangerous Iran is. And in 2-3 days, Van Jones gonna be on camera crying again. I tell my kids. So many people gonna be sad tonight. He gonna be criticizing Trump, and you out here doing his work for him. He's a fucking Van Jones is a fucking clown, bro. He is a clown.